I kind of think I'm seeing a new world order come together. I actually think this case is the end of the old world order. And one of the biggest questions is, where will Europe fall? Here you see these countries that used to shun China. Now it looks like they're trying to do trade deals. This is Keir Starmer, the leader of the UK. Mark Carney is this guy who used to be head of the Bank of England. Now he's the leader of Canada. He's trying to do deals with China. Xi Jinping is saying that the renminbi, which is China's currency, should be the reserve currency. You have The Economist saying China is winning the trade war. This is a publication out of the UK. And the BBC, which honestly is a propaganda outlet for the British Empire, has completely changed their tone all of a sudden on China.
Of electric vehicles, solar panels, wind turbines, electric batteries. China makes more robots than anywhere else in the world. China has and processes more rare earths than anywhere else in the world, about 90% of rare earths, for instance. And these are the kind of extracts, these minerals that are needed to make anything from an electric vehicle to your smartphone to Bluetooth speakers. So
honestly, what I'm seeing here is that while the US taxpayer used to subsidize European welfare states, maybe somebody else is going to be picking up the bill. It's a big bill. Lifetime entitlement to unemployment just ended in Belgium. In France, they raised the retirement age to 64, and people just went bananas. They ultimately had to reverse the law and take it back down to 62. And now 65-year-old retirees in France have higher wages than the average working adult, which to me just goes to show you, when China's talking up an EU trade deal and they have this huge commitment to all these pensions and social programs, Europe says they're going to go on this big military spending spree. So where are you going to get the money? Are you going to do this again? I don't think so. I don't think the people in Europe are going to tolerate that. Moreover, you have a shrinking population. Do you think the young people of France or Germany are going to be willing to be in the military in the same way that this would have happened in the past? I don't think so, even if they're there. Europe isn't making very much stuff anymore. So the deal here that China is basically proposing is, why don't you just let us make all the stuff? We'll kind of do globalism, just minus America. But I'm not so sure. There's a problem, which is that Europeans just don't consume that much. And China has a lot of stuff that needs to get consumed. Americans, we're the ones who consume. And the reason that's important is that ever since China joined the World Trade Organization in 2001, which is basically a project that Bill Clinton put together, here's Clinton with Mr. Jeff, the main engine of globalism has been these guys here selling to Americans. And honestly, when you think about who this whole globalism thing was really benefiting, it's a lot of these international people, these Davos men. Here's Jeffrey Epstein donating hundreds of thousands of dollars to the Council on Foreign Relations so he could get on the board. Apparently he loved Davos. He loved the World Economic Forum. His friend Bill Clinton loved it too. Larry Summers loves it. This is a guy that was associated with Jeff too, former president of Harvard. He was the former Treasury Secretary. And what this world did of the old globalism stuff is that it turned Americans mostly into salespeople and marketers. You can see here that for a long time, every dollar spent on marketing returned between $13 and $25. We basically found that if we just let these guys make everything and we added a huge markup to it with packaging and marketing and branding, that US consumers would just buy it at huge prices, inflate corporate profits, and make it possible for people like this to exist, just in all that world of banking and international finance and Davos. And now there's this huge scandal erupting in Britain where Jeff was friends with Lord Mandelson, who was a high-level government guy who was giving secrets to Jeff. Here's Lord Mandelson here, the guy. In the Clinton years, he was Secretary of Trade and Industry. So basically all this international business stuff, international trade, Davos, import, exports. He even wrote an article for the Center for American Progress, a Democrat outlet, talking about the future of globalization, how it can work for all of us. But globalization was more about these Harvard people, Bill, Jeff. Big taxpayer subsidies to Europe, super nice lifestyle in Europe. And then Trump goes into the World Economic Forum and says, quote, "In recent decades, it became conventional wisdom in Washington and European capitals that the only way to grow a modern Western economy was through ever-increasing government spending, unchecked mass migration, and endless foreign imports." He's basically saying this is done. Where is he focusing? He's focusing on a prosperous future for the Middle East. But it's not just the Middle East. Here is Argentinian leader Javier Milei launching an initiative to boost Israel-Latin America ties. In fact, it looks like we are planning a semiconductor supply chain future that involves Latin America. We're trying to make Latin America into a place where manufacturing and consumption grows. That's why Trump is ordering the Pentagon to do whatever it takes to clean it up. So then you see that Europe scrambles and tries to make a trade pact with South America. But the problem is, farmers are getting all these cushy subsidies because it's Europe. So the French farmers protest, the Irish farmers protest, the Greek farmers protest. That's what I'm saying. Protest, protest, protest. And I'm telling you, they're going to get what they want. There is no appetite in Europe to change this lifestyle. So I think the new American coalition is not just the Americas. I also think it's a lot of these Middle Eastern countries that are involved in the Abraham Accords. Not just Israel, Saudi Arabia, Turkey, Morocco, UAE. And wherever the new goods come for this new coalition, I don't think it's going to be as much from China. Here you see U.S. manufacturing expanding the most since 2022. I think China's going to find alignment with Africa. But the people who are lost in this shuffle are the people of Europe. Jeff's downfall was about more than just the scandal. It's honestly kind of the end of the era of the European elite profiting off of the globalist system.